Hey, what's going on, scholars? It's your professor here in Enlightened Enlisted, and today we're going to be looking at a ton of hidden gems inside of the dev stream that came out the other day. And if you guys missed it, well, I'm going to give you the highlights and some of the positive big news that we had from such a short live stream. So stay tuned because there's a lot of stuff in here that a lot of other content creators missed. Number 1, esports style tournaments and events.
Basically, there will be tournaments in some foreseeable future.
I think first we will add more competitive events. One day, I think it will be possible to make a full tournament, with some maybe rewards, real rewards and benefits. I think it is a really interesting idea.
Now that was the direct audio from the lead developer for Enlisted, and if you heard him correctly, he talks about how events are going to be the primary focus, but later on in the foreseeable future, he would like to see real tournaments with real rewards, and that can only mean competitive gameplay. That is absolutely insane to hear him say that, and that is so welcome because I love competitive gameplay, and it would be a really good addition for the player base in order to get some clout, real rewards, hopefully like financial rewards would be awesome, some real money, which if you think about it isn't so far-fetched as we have already seen Darkflow do events where they gave financial rewards to the people that completed them. Now I want to stress that this seems like this is a far thing in the future here. They are very much focused on events, and that is fine with me because I think that the events are better for all players, not just a certain select high tier players. It did sound like in the Q&A that they are going to have an event that's coming out in the near future, so be on the lookout for that, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail later in the video. Number 2, historical customizations only.
Decals to customize, etc. This is a very special topic, and we are not going to answer a lot about it today. Sorry, guys, because we do plan to do something in that area, and we would like to announce it properly when it's done. So,
Yeah, but I can add, and if we will introduce such system, it will be based on the history. It's very important for us.
like what you mean?
I like no pink unicorns,
Okay. I mean, you won't be able to do mod with unicorns and flying fairies, but you could modify maybe something else in mission.
Yeah, of course.
So that was pretty self-explanatory comments from the devs there, and it's really good to hear that they are staying away from like that Vanguard Fortnite kind of skins approach to Enlisted. So we are going to be focusing on the historical aspect. So you're going to expect some kind of customization slightly close to Hell Let Loose, but I think it's going to be a little bit more in depth than say like Hell Let Loose, but we'll see. They didn't go into any more detail, unfortunately, which I would have liked to heard how they were planning to do that, but it doesn't sound like that's too far off. So this might be coming in the next few updates. We'll see. Hopefully it does, because I'm really looking forward to this. Number 3, Enlisted leaving World War II.
So next one is speaking. People are asking about the modern war or modern warfare. You remember we did this test of the new kind of event with modern vehicles and modern weapons, and people liked it. And the question is whether we're going to extend this idea or use it further in the game.
We received a lot of positive feedback, and firstly, we plan to make new events on various themes. The Second World War in Enlisted is obviously always a priority for us, but I think it will be interesting to participate in modern battles or, battles in alternative history. This type of events allows us to do this without affecting the rest of the game.
I took his comments to be very interesting because if you look at the first dev Q&A, they were pretty adamant that they were just going to stay in World War II.
So the answer is that today we see such a full plate of working on the agenda of the Second World War that we are absolutely sure we'll have a lot of content to add from the Second World War without deviating from it. But of course, for some far future, we cannot exclude doing something else as well. But so far, our core focus is World War II.
But it seems like how successful the Modern Conflict event was that they are looking at other events that are going to explore alternative history. I want to stress on the alternative history part because he specifically made mention to that. Now this could be the most literal sense of like having the Russians versus the Americans or the British versus the Americans or something to that effect. However, that's already in the game in custom matches. What I think they're actually kind of hinting to is possibly like a Cold War gone warm. But he also said something very interesting. He didn't want it to take away from the core of the game, which is World War II. So this sounds like all these things are going to be just events, at least for the near to late future, which I honestly think is a good move because if you haven't seen my video on why I thought the Modern Conflict of Enlisted will fail, well, there is a link to that video in the top right hand corner of your screen right about now. Number 4, Gray Zone Campers and Suicide Bombers.
The next question I see here is whether we are planning to do something about pilots who try to do suicide bombing. Actually, kind of a popular question because really there are many of those who try suicide bombing, like sacrificing the plane right after they drop their payload. Okay, so do we want to punish those somehow?
I think this is not punish, it's just an improvement,
Okay.
some change. Yeah, we're going to increase the delay before the bomb explosion to make the suicide bombing on the low altitude less effective, and then to test such changes.
Okay. I see. So again, we're aware of the problem and
Yeah,
we'll try to
as
find
usual, if this is not enough, we will think about additional measures.
There's a very popular question about the gray zone camping, both for infantry soldiers camping from the gray zone and tanks hiding there as well. So I see a lot of questions whether we are going to do something with this gray zone camping issue.
Yeah, it's not an easy one. First of all, in the new missions, we will try to make the battle areas wider. It's a simple solution. And try to avoid good positions that are inaccessible to one of the teams. Now, when you can, for example, capture the tower or some hill and fire enemies, and they can't come and hit you back. And we will also improve the battle areas in the old missions. If this is not enough, we will think about additional measures.
Now, one of the key takeaways from this, it looks like, is the devs understand that these both are huge problems for the game, and it doesn't look like they are really too focused on the suicide bombing as much as they are for the gray zone problem. Just listening to him speak, it sounds like they are very hesitant to do anything else with planes because there was such a huge pushback for the plane nerf, which if you haven't seen my video on that, you know that I honestly think it was a great move. He didn't really go into enough detail about what this bomb delay is, but what it sounds like is that the bombs are going to hit the ground and you're going to have a few minutes to get away from them, even longer than you already do. And honestly, I think that is going to hurt planes like the SBD and the Stuka. I also think it's going to make people shift over to those rocket aircraft because then you're not going to have any kind of delay. Now for the gray zone camping, it sounds like they are going to be focusing on the new maps in order to fix this while doing the backlog for those older maps. And it is very nice to see that they are looking at those key terrain features that everyone likes to use and exploit as far as keeping that from being a camper's paradise. So what changes are you guys most excited for? Let me know down in the comments below. Number 5, bunny hoppers and drop shotters.
One interesting question in the forum about the bunny hopping and the possibility of shooting while jumping. I think it's a really interesting topic, and we are collecting player feedback right now and looking into this issue. Now, I can try to answer this question. On the one hand, we don't want to limit the movement too much, as this is an important part of any shooter. On the other hand, it is very important for us to make the battles look more realistic. So we are thinking about making the shooting while jumping more limited, as well as slowing down the transition to the prone position a little, to avoid to limit the drop shooting.
So you heard it first there. They want it to be more realistic and more immersive, which I find very interesting that they have chosen to take on bunny hopping and drop shotting when they have perks that actually encourage this. To me, I think they need to be focusing on a lot more of the fluid movement of the character and to make sure that the game is balanced. They want it to be competitive, it sounds like, but also very immersive, and that is a tight rope you have to walk. Alright guys, there was a ton of other things that they talked about during this live stream, and I wish I could go over each and every one of them, but for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to give you guys my personal thoughts on the live stream. If you guys watched my live stream reaction video, you know that I was pretty ticked off about how short the live stream was. Now, that I kind of am taking back a little bit. I had to think about it, and the reason why I'm taking it back is because if this continues where they keep doing these live streams with the developers to give us a pseudo roadmap, something that I'm actually hoping they give us an actual roadmap, but with this, if it's just the pseudo roadmap, I can live with this as long as this is happening frequently.
What did he say?
One thing I was really not happy with the live stream was the questions they chose to answer. It felt like some of them were just curated to be little bunt questions for them to answer with incredible ease that we already knew were going to happen, like artificial intelligence being improved. Like, I hope to God you guys are already doing that. We didn't really need that to be addressed in the live stream. We also got no updates on things that we've been waiting months for. Movable AT guns, women being added to Enlisted. The list goes on and on. But I do think that Enlisted has a bright future, and I do think that they're truly working to make this a better game for all of us. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, scholars, hit those books and hit those bottles. Cheers.